So I love Leprechaun. Every year I watch a Leprechaun marathon. I don't know if I already sold that. Leprechaun's fantastic, but I'll share a quick intro bio for people who don't know what this movie is, which I'd be pretty shocked. Okay, because Sci-Fi runs it every year and is currently running it right now. Leprechaun was Trimark's launch debut, which was released in 1993 after initially wrapping production at the end of 1991. Quick recap. Dan O'Grady returns to the U.S. after he steals an Irish leprechaun's pot of gold.
What?
He thinks he's going to settle down, okay? But, everybody knows you can't steal a leprechaun's pot of gold. No. So Leprechaun follows him, and O'Grady barely gets away with his life and locks him in the basement. And while he's down there, he is down there for 10 years. And then JD and his daughter, Tori, a.k.a. Jennifer Aniston, accidentally let the leprechaun go. And then immediately, he just wants me gold. And he kills a bunch of people. And their infamous tagline is, "Your luck just ran out." And so while I've seen this movie in clips and everything, I didn't actually see it its entirety till about 3 years ago for its anniversary screening in theaters. And now every year I do my Sci-Fi annual viewing marathon because this is some grade 8 content.
Well, that is amazing. Let's bring Mark on without further ado. Mark.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you great.
Okay. You can hear me. Listen, I don't think I've ever met a prettier fan of Leprechaun.
Thank you. Oh.
Yes, no, I knew you would go there. Anyway.
Whatever.
Well, I'm flattered.
Mark, it's great to have you.
You don't mind if I smoke a cigar at St.
I didn't know we were smoking. I would have lit one up.
No, you're way too cool for me. Like, I saw you come in with a cigar, and I was like, wow, like, Mark is my person.
And we're so far away.
I know. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Mark, you're in LA, right?
Yes, sunny California. It's about
born and raised.
Yes, it's a little cold today. It's about 72 degrees.
Yeah,
so
it's chilly.
A little chilly for us.
It was chilly last week, though. I'll be honest.
Yeah, a little bit. But we had sun. It's beautiful.
Yeah, we had a little rain there and all that good stuff. Guys, Mark's been Mark. Let me know if I get anything wrong here. You've been in the industry for 40 years, over 40 years.
I started when I was 7.
Started when you were 7. Turned 47 this year.
Let's just get clear on that.
Yeah, I want to make sure. Mark, we could hang out and get drinks for sure. So you're screenwriter, director, producer. You are born and raised in LA. Your credits include not obviously Leprechaun, Scooby-Doo, Knight Rider, The A-Team, The Adventure Show, The Plastic Man comedy. Is that all correct?
Yeah, I did a lot of cartoon shows in the beginning of my career. And then I went into prime time. So I did, Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels, Scooby-Doo's. I wrote Hanna-Barbera, Filmation, Ruby Spears. Then I got into prime time with about 1980 with Sheriff Lobo, BJ and the Bear. Then I went to Fall Guy. Then I went to
BJ and the Bear.
Cannell, and I did Riptide Hunter, A-Team for Stephen J. Cannell and Frank Lupo, who sadly passed away about a month ago. That was very sad.
Yeah.
So shout out to Frank Lupo, who was co-creator of the team. But yeah, then I did a lot of TV shows and did the Superboy syndicated show in the 90s. And then I did Leprechaun. I always wanted to direct. I was a writer and a producer in television, and I said I want to direct. And so I wrote Leprechaun to get my first shot.
So that's, I guess, my first question. How did the origin of Leprechaun happen? Like, what was the antithesis or the beginning of that idea, and how did it come about?
Well, I saw in some of the questions or some of the thoughts you had, it didn't come from a comic book. I was actually trying to figure out what, I knew that they were making low budget movies, and as a first time director, I figured that'd be a way to start. No studio was going to give a first time a $20 million movie in those days. So I said they did Friday the 13th, they did Halloween, they did all these kind of movies with kind of holidays, the Santa Claus and all that. So I said, well, no one's done St. Patty's Day, Leprechaun. And the Lucky Charms commercials were always playing. And I was at a bar with my secretary, and I said, nobody's done a horror movie about a leprechaun. They think they're cheery, happy creatures, but they actually have sort of a dark past if you look into the mythology. So I said that would be no one's done it, and they could release it every St. Patty's Day. So I wrote it, got it to Trimark, and turned it down twice. And that's the old typical Hollywood story.
Right.
2 executives turned it down. Then the head guy, Mark Amin, who was out of town at the time, he came back, saw the script, liked the title, read it, and said, let's make it. And then the 2 executives that turned it down, to this day, talk about how great it was that they,
of course, they pushed it along somehow.
Yes. One of them I'm still friends with. He knows who he is.
Okay. At least you're still friends.
Yeah. I'm friends with everybody.
It's good. It's good quality to have.
I mean, I would be friends with you all the time if we just smoke cigars. So,
listen, there's a cigar lounge down the street, and all of us get together. A lot of us are in show business. We just sort of found this cigar lounge. I live in Woodland Hills, and we hang out. We sit out there and smoke, and we still maintain some normality in this crazy times.
Yeah. I'm in Toluca Lake, so not too far. I'm going to head over. I'll head over later.
Yeah. It's called Badass Cigar.
Perfect.
Right in Woodland Hills. My friends own it.
Perfect. Good plug. Badass Cigar.
Yes.
So you already defunct the comic one, which is good. So now I know that for the future. But was there any other horror films that you gained inspiration from for Leprechaun?
It's very funny. I remember going to a film, Critters, the first Critters, and it was a theatrical. It was a small picture, and they had the little Martian critters that were like little balls of it. And I said, you can make little things scary. And so it's sort of, I remember seeing that picture, and I think I wrote the script not long after seeing that picture. Because I think I wrote the script around 88, 89, 90, and then it sold in 92. So I guess Critters would be and Chucky. Chucky come out. I saw the first Chucky and a little doll, and so I wanted to go with a little dwarf leprechaun.
Yeah, that was the thing for a while. You had the little doll horror stuff. So
right.
Okay. This was on a low budget. I know that.
Well, it was $1 million. It was $980,000.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, compared to today, people are making movies for $300,000-$400,000. I mean, we were, full union and Writers Guild and SAG, and at the time, for me, my first picture, I thought that was a decent budget, but yeah, it was small in relation to other movies.
Right. For your first movie, probably felt like you had $1 million.
You're exactly right. We had Panavision cameras and cranes and everything. I was happy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you're sitting there and going, "Hey, I'm making a movie." I
got a director's chair, so that was enough.
That's all you need. That's all you wanted. What were there any challenges that you what were the biggest challenges you had making it? Or was it such a fun experience that it was your first movie? Did you just take everything in stride?
Well, both are correct. I mean, I was just happy to be on a movie set, so any problems I didn't really think were problems. But I had a great DP, Levy Isaacs, who was experienced, and he took care of me.
Right.
I mean, I knew a lot about filmmaking. I've been in television for about 16 years, but being much different in an office, writing and producing than sitting on a set. The network, the studio, it's kind of like they kept changing what they wanted. I wrote the original script that they bought as a real horrific crazy monster, didn't speak, just this little leprechaun killing people. Kind of what they tried to do in Leprechaun 7 Origins, which I thought did not work. Even I get paid for all of them, which I'm very happy they keep making.
Make as many as you want.
Keep going.
Yeah, they just finished number 8. They got a poster, Leprechaun Returns, that Sci-Fi is going to play tonight. They play all the Leprechauns, but then when I was in development, they said we want to buy the script, and I then decided I wanted to make the Leprechaun have a personality, because that's how you get a franchise. Right. Like Freddy Krueger, you need a character. So I made those changes, and they were like, well, we kind of like the first script. And I go, well, it's rewrites. And I did convince them. And then I started to get where I wanted to add more comedy, because I really kind of wanted it to be like a Scooby-Doo live action, right. Kind of so kids. That's why he kills people with a pogo stick. He drives a tricycle. So, I sort of, and it was lit. The colors, if you look at the picture, we built sets. We had a kitchen that was orange and green, and the lighting at night was blues and reds. And so I kind of wanted to make it like cartoony for kids, and it worked, because they made it R-rated, which they had to make it, or the kids didn't want to go see it. It's an odd thing, even though you take it in. The kids, if it's PG-13, they don't think it's going to be a good picture. So we only got an R because we had to put in some F words and a couple of little stabbings, and that made it the R.
Right.
But I used to watch kids. We went to the theater, and I would watch kids line up for Muppet movie, because I think Muppet Christmas was playing, because we came out in January, and they ended up buying tickets for the Muppet picture because they didn't have a parent and they were under 17, and then they go right into Leprechaun. So the distributor said we probably lost about 300,000 opening weekend on kids buying for the Muppet babies.
Makes sense.
They owe me a little bit of money.
Yeah, collect that money, dude.
Yeah.
Get on that.
I'm going to skip a question. Like, I'm going to skip around here. Sorry, Ralph. And ask a question, because it's kind of relative to what Mark just said. So when I was a kid, it's so funny that you mentioned like children and like that kind of advertising, because when I was a kid, I used to see Jack Frost everywhere. Right. And I thought it was the Michael Keaton Jack Frost. Right. But it's not. And so I was wondering, this was one of my questions, do you think that Jack Frost kind of maybe took inspiration from Leprechaun, because it was like marketed to kids, but it wasn't actually?
I don't know. I'm not sure when Jack Frost was made. Was it made after Leprechaun?
I think 1998.
Yeah. I know a guy who worked at the company. I think Apex did it. And that was a really low budget, and they would rip off everybody. They would take those pictures that other people are doing and do really low budget.
Right.
So it may have inspired them to know that if it's targeted at younger kids, but it's a horror movie, then the kids will go see it. So they owe me money too. So thanks for bringing that up.
You got to start collecting all this money, Mark. You need a muscle.
I make one phone call, and I'm going to get all those checks.
See that? I want to talk about casting.
Okay.
And Warwick Davis in particular. I know he had done Willow in the 80s. And then you got him on board. Was that someone you set out to attach, or was he just somebody who auditioned and you're like, oh, I like this kid?
Well, I'll tell you, we didn't. I saw Willow and I liked it, and Lucas did it, and I figured, oh, that's a big movie. He's not a guy like that's not going to want to do a little low budget movie. So my casting directors sent out for a lot of little people to come read, and we had a lot of guys that read, and they were good, but it wasn't. I really wanted, a character, and I think my casting director said, he's in England, Warwick Davis, and I talked to his agent, and he'll read the script. And I said, great. So we sent it out to Warwick, and he read it. And actually, in his book, he wrote a thing. It was very unfortunate. He and his wife, Sam, had just had a child who had passed away after a week. And they were very depressed. And he said, I got the script, and I read it. and I really liked it because it was an interesting character. And he said, and I thought about going to LA just to get away would be good therapy. So, you know, it just came at the right time for him. But he said he thought it was really that he liked the comedy and wanted to do kind of comedy horror. So he immediately called and said he wanted to do it. And I said, that's it. I mean, he's a guy, he did Willow, he's good, I've seen him. And then, of course, Trimark executives, bless their souls, you know, well, are you sure? Then I said, guys, we're not going to do better than Warwick Davis, you know.
Yeah.
So they actually, believe it or not, had to fly him out to do a reading for us. In those days, there wasn't video, you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And they flew him out and paid for it and said, you know, if we don't like him, we're going to pass. But they liked him.
Yeah, I mean, he was, come on, he's Willow. I can't want Willow in your movie.
And he was a great guy. He was great to work with. Terrific guy.
That's great.
Kind of following up on the casting, obviously this is Jennifer Aniston's feature first film debut. Was she always, like, did you see her in Lover instantly, or were there other people that you saw as Tori?
I've said the story, and it's really true. I was sitting with my producing partner, Michael Prescott, and we were reading with girls, you know, the young, pretty girls, and we saw maybe 80 of them, and Jennifer was just one coming in. She had really done nothing. I think she did an episode of you know, a couple of little parts, and had not really done anything. And she was coming in. Everybody knew they were going to be on scale. And she walked in the room, and it's really true. She did have a charisma.
Right.
There was something about her. She walked in, and it wasn't that she was a beautiful girl, but it wasn't like she was drop dead gorgeous. She just had a movement and a poise. And I remember talking to my producer, and I saying, I hope that one can act, because she was just so dynamic, and she did great. And we read her, and I marked it best on my little note, and we had to call her in a number of times. I really wanted to go with her. Trimark was not convinced. We put her on tape. We read her with our lead actor, Ken Oland, and they had another girl they liked and they were favoring, who was good, but she was a blonde, and she just, I thought Jennifer had a much better quality. So I had to really push, and at one point, executive said, well, you know, if you bleached her hair blonde, because they wanted a California blonde, and Jennifer's hair was great, and I said, okay, I'll do that, and I got it through, and then I called Jennifer and I said, I got good news and bad news. The good news is you have the part. The bad news is they want you to bleach your hair blonde. And she said, Mark, I don't want to do it. My hair. I said, you're not going to do it. We just said we would do it, and they're not going to get on top of it. That's a true story. I said, just show up. The first day you show up, you're going to look great. They're not going to stop us from shooting. And that's what happened.
So she too owes you money, I feel like.
She owes me a lot of money. And
somebody else you should collect from.
I keep trying to email her and call her, but she did that thing where you can block a number. So.
You just need to get a new number, Mark. Come on. We'll go.
I bumped into her a few times since she became.
Oh, really?
And she was wonderful. And, you know, we sat down and had a drink, and it was an event about 4 years into Friends, when she was incredibly untouchable. And she sat down, and we had a couple of margaritas and spent about an hour talking. And I remember she said to me, she goes, you know, whatever you hear I say about Leprechaun, that's exaggerated, and the trades like to say, she says, it was your first movie, my first movie. It was the greatest experience ever for me and you. And she was I said, Jennifer, you don't have to apologize. I said, if I ever have the success you have, I will deny I directed Leprechaun.
How dare you? Don't say that. Amber's going to get upset, Mark. Don't do that.
No, I love Leprechaun.
So I know you talked about writing, and you are credited as a writer, and you mentioned you wrote the script. How did you come up with your infamous rhymes, and like, what was your favorite rhyme that you wrote?
Wow. It just sort of evolved. You know, when we were prepping and Warwick flew in and getting into makeup and stuff and testing the makeups, we worked together on it, and he brought a little personality to it. and the rhymes came up. You know what? I think there might have, in my first draft of the new version that I wrote, I did have a rhyme in there, I think, and then we just sort of embellished it. The one that comes to mind is the pogo stick. He played one. He played knick-knack on my lung. You know, the others I don't know if I remember. I'll have to watch Leprechaun tonight and remember them. But yeah, that's the one.
It'll be on at 8 on Sci-Fi. Another Sci-Fi plug. I'm sure you're getting residual checks, so you appreciate it.
I do. Actually, I do. Right after March, I do get a little increase.
Amber, why don't you plug our show on Sci-Fi while we're at it?
Van Helsing?
What's your show?
Van Helsing. Yeah. Come on.
Oh,
yeah, Van Helsing's the best to everyone.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you. Van Helsing on Sci-Fi, but also Leprechaun on Sci-Fi. There you go. I know we kind of touched on this, but like the comedic elements and the campiness, I think that's what made this movie. Because if you did try to go like straight horror with a Leprechaun, that wouldn't work probably.
Yes.
Was that? Well, and I guess my question, was that always like you kind of mentioned it. You were watching the Lucky Charms commercial. You had this sort of idea. I mean, were you right away going like, yeah, I think this has to be like campy and not take itself too seriously?
Exactly. I said, look, guys, we're not going to do Freddy Krueger. They had bigger budgets. They had bigger effects. They were kind of horrific. I said, let's go the other way and not take ourselves serious and have fun with it. And which I got killed by the critics, and yet they later then decided it's a cult classic. But at
the time, they didn't get it probably.
No, they didn't. They really didn't. One or two reviewers. We got a big release all over the country, so we got a lot of reviews. And it was funny. I go, guys, you're not understanding what the picture is. But actually, they took out, or had me take out, a lot of comedic scenes that were in there. And it's funny because there's people involved in post-production, and there was one guy who was a post-production guy. And I've heard he goes around taking credit for somehow putting the comedy in, and he didn't come about until after we shot the picture. So what they did is Trimark liked to cut the picture by committee. I did my cut, and then they would have executives come in and say, let's do this and that. I fought as much, and I got 80-90% of what I wanted.
Right.
But they wanted to cut some of the comedy out to make it a little more horrific. And I said, I think that's a mistake.
Yeah.
And then some guys are taking credit for saying, yeah, we put in this comedy, when they actually took it out. I have somewhere there's a director's cut where there was a scene after he killed the policeman where he's driving the police car and he's eating a donut. He puts the dead cop next to him. He puts the hat on him. There's another one where the truck takes off. I thought it was the greatest scene. It was the scene I didn't want cut. When the father gets bit and the kids jump in the pickup truck to take the dad to the hospital, the thing comes off and then he rides a tricycle. Well, before that, the car takes off and camera moves down to the tire treads. And all of a sudden, the tire treads start wobbling, and Leprechaun pulls himself up from the dirt covered in tire treads. And they go, no, that's going to get too much of a laugh. And I go, you want it in, so we cut that out.
Uh-huh.
So there's 3 or 4 or 5 scenes. One, he makes a sandwich. That was hysterical, and they cut that out. So there's about 4 scenes that are really funny that somebody should offer me a lot of money, and I'll find that director's cut.
We need the director's cut and more money. Another stack of money for you.
Hashtag Leprechaun Director's Cut instead of hashtag Snyder Cut.
There you go. You guys know how to do it. I'm kind of old school, so
Yeah, we're with you.
I'm lucky I got my phone working.
There you go. Me too.
It's funny. I was getting panicky because my little airbook. I can't get on my email because I had a security company come in to the house and they had to redo and put some security cameras up. It's a nice area, but I just, I figured I might as well do it. And somehow the router changed, and I don't remember my email password, if you can believe it. So anyway, my phone.
Get mine constantly.
So I got to call my girlfriend. She might have it, but she's in Ohio now. I think with another guy.
I'm glad it's working. I'm glad this worked out.
Yeah, I was really. I have a Mac, but what's it called? An iPad. So I guess it would have gone to that.
My other.
I hope I'm not taking up your time. I know I ran.
No. We have all day. This is a 4-hour interview, didn't Amber?
Good, because I need to kill 4 hours.
Phase 1. This is phase 1. We go into all things Leprechaun. We're covering every sequel.
Phase 2 where we all try to rap battle against each other, and then a phase 3 where we bring in drinks, and then a phase 4 where we bring in another cigar.
Amber might show up at the house with drinks. I didn't want to. I wanted to. That's why you got the security camera.
I got the security system, so I'll see her coming.
Oh wait, I was going to ask. I think Amber has a question. Sorry, Amber, I must stepped on your toes.
No, that's okay. I didn't want to. I know that we were kind of like running short on time, and I didn't want to like take up too much of Mark's time. But so
no, I got time.
Okay, perfect.
I have a dinner at 7:30 at Monty's.
Okay, 7:30. That's Pacific though, so like we're good, man.
We got plenty of time. So I know that you've gotten writing credits for all the other Leprechaun series. Have you ever been consulted on them, or was it just because you created the characters?
Yeah, I get. Well, number 2, I was consulted. I got a producer credit on that too. But through all the others, I get characters created by, and I get paid for that. But no, I didn't have anything to do with. They would send me scripts to look at and maybe give notes, and then they would never take my phone calls. So, but no, it's a credit that it's a writer's guild that I have to get created by, and I have to get certain monies and ownerships because it's passive money, so it's okay.
Yeah,
money. I think we had a couple audience before we get to my favorite part of the interview, which is the rapid fire, Mark, which you didn't even know about. This is a surprise. We had a couple audience questions, I think. Oh, there you go. What is your favorite type of cigar?
Let's see. My favorite type of cigars. That's funny. There's a cigar called a nub. There's a Medulla. This is a what's that? A Connecticut nub. It's a small, short, fat cigar. It's very good. This is a house cigar. It's called a barber pole, and it's barber pole.
Yeah.
And I get it at the cigar store. I think it's a Fuente, which is a good cigar, but they don't put a label on it, so it's not as expensive. But this is my favorite.
Is it a mild or do you have
it's mild to? Yeah, I like a mild cigar.
I like a mild cigar. I don't like.
Yeah, it's a good. Do you really smoke cigars, Amber?
I do. My favorites, actually, Romeo and Julietta's are my favorite.
Oh, I like those. Yeah, yeah. Wow. Okay.
We really can hang out. I'm excited.
If you come to Woodland Hills, you can hang out. You'll meet my celebrity friends, so I'm not allowed to mention who go there.
Perfect.
Jennifer Aniston.
Not yet. I'm trying to get her down there.
Could you tell us any stories, thoughts on your movie Rumpelstiltskin?
I have a Rumpelstiltskin. I'm in the entryway to my office. Did you see the Rumpelstiltskin poster? You can see.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was one of my favorite movies. What was the question again?
Any stories? Any thoughts on the movie? Any cool?
Yeah,
facts.
After Leprechaun, I sat down. It took about a year from the final post to releasing it. We finished it in '92, and they wanted to go January. That was a good date to go light on it. So we had about 9 months. So I said, I'm going to sit down. Actually, I wrote it with Joe Ruby, who was the head of Ruby Spears, which did Saturday morning cartoons for years. I worked with years ago. He created Scooby-Doo, actually. And I wrote Rumpelstiltskin, and a friend of mine knew the president of Dino De Laurentiis' company, and it got to Dino, I think, right when Leprechaun came out. No, it didn't. Before Leprechaun came out.
Okay.
It got to Dino. Dino liked the script, and he said, and he was doing big movies. He said, what's the budget? And I see, we had a meeting. He read it, and the next day he like called us in, and I said the $3 million, and he goes, oh, okay. Now, he has this little Italian guy goes, oh, $3 million. That's okay. So from $1 million to $3 million in those days is great. So then he screened Leprechaun. He asked for a copy from Trimark to look at it to see if I was good enough and to direct, and he made a deal quickly, easy. It was the best time. We had a big budget. Dino was easy to work with, and this guy's was a top producer of everything because he left me alone. He trusted directors. He'd look at dailies, make a few little comments, and let me cut the picture. And that was supposed to go big theatrical because we started shooting it when Leprechaun came out, and he sold it to Aaron Spelling. Had a company called Spelling Entertainment that was doing movies at Paramount. They bought the picture for more than $3 million. So everybody made a lot of money on that movie. And then we're going to go out in like 1,200 theaters to do the Leprechaun thing, to make a franchise. And literally we were on the books, and then Paramount shut down Spelling Entertainment because they only bought Spelling Entertainment to get his TV shows, Aaron Spelling's TV shows.
Right,
so they said, we have a theatrical obligation. What's the minimum? They said 300 theaters. So we went in 300 theaters over different territories in the United States, and it did well. It actually in Chicago did like 4,000 a theater, but we went up against Mission Impossible and Twister, and it was the wrong time. And so it did very well on video and all that, but it never got the franchise. But I liked that movie. And that was a little bit of Max Grudenchek, who was a Ferengi on Star Trek. He played himself short. He's not that short. And I thought Rumpelstiltskin would be great to have a franchise.
Yeah. I mean, we publish a lot of Grimm fairy tales reimaginings with horror twists, and we have an evil Rumpelstiltskin in our universe. We never really use him.
So you owe me money. You stole from me.
I owe you money now.
So there's another check I am expecting.
Damn it. I'll buy you a cigar. Don't worry.
Okay, that's a deal.
We are running a little late, so I want to get to rapid fire because it's the most exciting part of the interview.
Okay.
5 questions. You have 5 seconds to answer each question. If you get the question wrong, there are serious ramifications.
Okay.
We send Amber over, and she attacks.
You never see any of the checks we owe you.
You never see any of the money. Okay. First question. Mark, what's the most disappointing horror film you've ever seen? One you were looking forward to?
Probably Leprechaun Origins.
Oh, okay. So honest answer, guys. What's an I'll start over. What's an irrational fear of yours?
Wow, rational fear? Flying. I hate flying.
That's fair. In airplanes, I assume. Any flying?
Yes. I've been in them.
The Cape.
Thousands of times. Okay. I respect them. I scared to death.
Other than the Leprechaun, and I'm ruling out Rumpelstiltskin, favorite horror movie villain of all time?
Gosh, that's hard to say. They go back. Favorite horror movie villain? Shoot.
I stumped you.
I go back to the 30s, a movie called Freaks. There wasn't a horror villain, but it was a bunch of freaks, and they I love that movie. It was very scary. I remember seeing it as a kid, and then later. Honestly, it comes to I like Chucky. I thought that was great.
Chucky's good.
I like Freddy Krueger in that genre.
Yeah.
But I would say
we'll go with Chucky.
What's that?
Chucky. We're going to go with Chucky as a final.
Yeah, go with Chucky.
Amber, who's yours? Just side note, rapid fire to Amber.
Side note, rapid fire, Jason Voorhees. Duh.
So not Leprechaun. Oh, that was a trick question. You're embarrassing.
Yeah, you got to be honest.
Quick thing that I wanted to pull it out though is the fact that the best thing about Jason and Leprechaun is the fact that they can go anywhere, and like that's how much of a following they have. People will follow them, right? Like they both went to space, okay? Like Jason went on a cruise ship to New York out of a lake, okay? But then Leprechaun obviously went to the hood and then back to the hood. Like people love them so much they'll follow them anywhere.
That's true. It's true.
2 more. Favorite St. Patty's drink? Doesn't have to be alcoholic if you don't want it to be.
You know what? I'm a whiskey bourbon drinker. So I'm going to go with that. Or red wine. Okay. I don't do the foo-foo drinks.
I'll take it. That's acceptable. You're from LA. 3 best foods in LA to me are sushi, Mexican, and burgers. That's just a fact. Which do you choose, and which is your favorite spot to eat? One of those 3.
I don't like sushi at all.
Okay.
So my favorite spot to eat is probably Monty's in Woodland Hills. It's a nice high-end restaurant. I'm actually a fish eater, but it has to be cooked. And they have a good filet every now and then. And I do like Mexican, but I'll go with the higher end restaurant.
That's fair. That'll work. All right. Amber, you passed, by the way, Mark. I wanted to let you know. Amber, any other questions before we let Mark go? I know we're a little long on time, but he was a great guest. So
wait, before we go, did you check your email?
Did I check my email?
Yeah, check your email really quick. Not you, Mark. Ralph. I just I'd get the text about it. So just quickly check that. Side note. I will ask before we go. So, Mark, what other projects do you have in your pipeline, if any, that you'd like to talk about?
I have one that we almost got made. It's called A Leprechaun Gets Bitten by a Vampire and Becomes a Vamprecon. And it's a script.
You just blew my mind.
And it's a really good script. We actually had a green light and then had a lawsuit. If you look it up, Vamprecon, VAMPRECHAUN. We had a big lawsuit. We won, but now the funding fell out. So that's actually one that we're looking to do. And Warwick, at one point, wanted to do it. So that's a secret because he wanted to wait till his kids got older before he did a horror movie again. And so that might come about.
That would be crazy. Vamprecon.
This was in my email. Chris is asking me to show.
But if you ever do make Vamprecon, take my money. I'll put funding towards it. Okay, cool.
Okay, what does that say?
Where's me gold? It's on the back of a pickup truck.
I love it.
There you go. That's Amber's truck, guys.
Tell that guy if he's got to come to Woodland Hills.
We're going to tell him to stop over. We have your address now and all the security codes. Mark, where can people find you? We called your girlfriend. Where can people find you online? And we can set that up.
You know what? My email, markjonesfilms@yahoo.
We don't want everybody emailing you, though.
I don't care. I never get any emails.
All right, I'll email you.
What about me?
I was so excited I got an email. I'm on Facebook. I just don't play with it. I know everybody yells at me. I did have a Twitter, and I forgot my password. I went on it once.
We're gonna have to write down these passwords for you.
I know. I write them all down in this little calendar. And I can't find the book. I know it's somewhere in my office, so I'll find it. But yeah, terrible.
Maybe a rainbow will come over it, and then all of a sudden it will unveil itself.
If I find it right after this, I'm gonna blame you because I've been looking for 2 days. So I'll go right in, and it'll be under a pile of something.
Oh man.
How do you think we got you to do this interview? I had to take something, right?
Yes. Well, you guys are great. I gotta follow you guys. So.
Yeah, you do. Zenescope. We're gonna make you direct one of our movies.
Okay.
I'll be on it. I'll be in touch. You'll be like, who's this guy? Listen, Mark, you've said it all. I appreciate your time. And we should do it again sometime.
You got it. You guys are great.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Bye, Mark.